What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Canadian Football Fantasy Fix. I'm Ryan Coop here with your Week 10 CFL Fantasy Recap. Week 10 in the CFL has come and gone, and it was an interesting Thanksgiving weekend of football. 5 games on the schedule. Toronto and Ottawa both playing 2 games, both of their games counting for fantasy points, and inflated prices to go along with it. Made for a lot of interesting strategies this week and a lot of points to go around. We'll touch on all of those. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend. I do apologize I did not have a depth chart video out for the 2 games on Monday. I ended up having family over for the holiday and was quite tied up getting everything prepared for that. So did not have the chance to sit down and record a video. So I do apologize for not having that update out for you. But if you want extra updates, I do always tweet out the depth charts and the fantasy notables on them each and every week at CooperTrooper42. A link to it's in the description. I promise I will try to make sure I have a video update every game for the rest of the season, but if not, you can get the updates there as well. So before we start looking ahead to week number 11, we got to recap week number 10, which we'll do here shortly. But to get you all set for week 11, there's games on Friday and Saturday this week, I believe. And I will have the positional previews for all of the positions out on Thursday. I'll have your depth chart updates out on Friday and Saturday to get you all the info you need to set your week 11 lineups. But first, let's take a look back to the Week 10 scores, and let's start with the quarterback position. The top scorer in the week was McLeod Bethel Thompson, who put up 36 points across the 2 games he played. You were looking for 35 if you were going by my model of full value being 2.5 points per $1,000, and you just got it. Jeremiah Mazzoli, having his best game of the season, put up 24.7. Caleb Evans of Ottawa, solid 22.2 points across 2 games there at a $7,500 salary. You got what you were looking for. And then dropped off a little bit. Cody Fajardo and Vernon Adams Jr., 14.4 and 12.4. Not what you were looking for out of the top-end salary you pay for to get either of those guys in your lineup. And VA going down with an injury and will be on the 6-game injured list. Matt Schiltz will be taking over as the starter for the next little while. He put up 3.2 points in relief for Vernon Adams Jr. Calgary picked up another straight win against Saskatchewan, but only 12.3 points for Bo Levi Mitchell. He has yet to produce a really strong fantasy game that we know he's been capable of in the past. Zach Collaros putting up just 10.3 in the Bombers' blowout win over Edmonton. You have to think if the Bombers could have, converted a little more on some of those drives that they got close to the end zone, that maybe that would have changed his total. Trevor Harris, a disastrous first game back from injury, 4.4 points for him. He ended up getting pulled for Taylor Cornelius, who did not get much going himself. And Matt Schiltz, as I mentioned, 3.2, and then Sean McGuire put up 0.4 on the week. So if you took Bethel Thompson, you took Evans, you took Mazzoli, you got the full bang for your buck there. But if you took any of the other guys, you were a little disappointed at quarterback. At running back, there were a couple great options as well. DJ Foster, a monstrous first game this week where he put up 25-something points. And then cruised to a total of 34.2 amongst his 2 games. Got the starting role with John White being out due to injury. So big boost there to DJ Foster and a great play at $8,000. If you took the chance on Andrew Harris, despite the massive price tag, it finally worked out for you with 30.4. Cameron Artis-Payne of the Alouettes with 24.9 points. William Stanback missed this game due to injury, and Artis-Payne came in at a $2,500 salary. And if you made the switch to put him in your lineup, it paid off greatly, giving you pretty much close to 10 points for every $1,000 you spend. Couldn't ask for better play there as a cheap running back option. Kadeem Carey, a big day for Calgary, put up 22.8. Sean Thomas Erlington of Hamilton, I think did leave the game due to injury at some point, and also shared quite the workload with others at the running back position, but still put up 14.9 points, got a big touchdown to help aid that total. Anthony Coombs, listed as a running back, plays slot back, 12.8 across 2 games. William Powell, 12.7. Delance Turner got the start for Ottawa in the second game, 11.6 points. Really hurt a lot of people's weeks. If you had Timothy Flanders, who only put up 2.9 in the first game, and then was replaced by Turner for the second one. I believe whereas most Ottawa players were locked, you still had the option to put Delance Turner in for the second game if you had the space, and if anybody did so, they got the value at 11.6 points. James Wilder Jr., a disappointing day at his salary at 6.6. Malik Irons getting in for some carries there for Hamilton, puts up a decent 5.9 for his price tag. If you were like me and you took Jamal Morrow as a cheap running back option, you got 4.7 out of him. I mentioned Flanders having a disappointing day. And then a couple of backups there. AJ Ouellette getting in for a couple points. And Ante Milanovic-Litre, who at times has been able to produce as a second running back, not doing so this week with just 0.2. Taking a look at the receivers, the top one on the week was Chandler Worthy, who put up 26.9 points across his 2 games. A lot of that came in the fourth quarter of the one on Monday against Hamilton. The first game he had 4 point something, and then most of the second game, it was just return yards. I don't think he had a catch, and then all of a sudden 4 or 5 catches in the fourth quarter, including a touchdown. Big day for Chandler Worthy, putting him top scorer overall in the week. Devontae Dedmon in Ottawa continues to produce primarily through the return game and put up 22.1. Across 2 games. Jalen Acklin in Hamilton finally getting back on track after a number of disappointing fantasy totals. Big week for him, 21.6. That's his best total since the first week of the season. A couple other guys putting up solid totals due to 2 games. Ryan Davis at 21.3. Ricky Collins at 20.8. And Curly Gittins Jr. at 19.4. If you took him around $4,000 salary across the 2 games, he was the leading receiver for the Argos in the second one and gave you 19.4. Nick Dembski hit full value at 19.3, proving to be one of, if not the most consistent receiver in the CFL this season. A fantastic year for Nick Dembski. Damien Jean-Pierre for Toronto, also a great cheaper play for 2 games at 17.5 points. RJ Harris putting up 17.5 as well, but did not hit full value. Devaris Daniels, 17.3. Markeith Ambles had the big 70-something yard touchdown on the first play of the game for Calgary. That helped him hit a 16.4. And then we get into some heavy hitters here in the middle. Jake Weineke, Kyron Moore, Braylon Addison, for example, all in that 12 to 14 point range. They're decent totals, but not at the premium price you paid for them. Stephen Dunbar Jr. in Hamilton, still proving to be a great cheaper option. Gave you full value this week again. Josh Huff and Rasheed Bailey in the 12-point range. I believe Rasheed Bailey was just a couple, less than a point shy of hitting full value there. Ricardo Lewis in Saskatchewan hitting 10.5, giving you full value for a $2,500 value play. Kenny Stafford, 10.5 points. That all came in the first game of the week, but he was out for the second one. Had some higher hopes for him this week than that total. Herjay Mayala having one of his top games of the year at 9.9. Nate Bahar, only 8.2. His usage seems to have just dipped in that Ottawa offense from what it was earlier in the season. Nick Hawley was a late addition to the Calgary lineup just before game time when Dan Williams III was not ready to go. 8.1 points from Nick Hawley. BJ Cunningham, Greg Ellingson, Tim White, and Eugene Lewis, all kind of disappointing days there of not giving you quite the points you were looking for. Tim White, not as bad. He was still a cheaper play, but the other guys were a little higher in price. Kelvin McKnight got the start for the Bombers instead of many people expected to be Naaman Roosevelt starting with Kenny Lawler out. McKnight came in, he was a cheap play, and he gave you what you were looking for. 6.6 points, solid day with a couple catches for McKnight. Keon Schaefer-Baker not having his big week that we saw last week, just 5.7 from him. Marcus Green for Hamilton came in and handled return duties with Frankie Williams out. He got 5.6 points, not a bad day there. Darrell Walker continuing to mystify and be a bit of a disappointment this season. 5.5 points. Historically, he's always been good against Winnipeg, and he had a lot of targets thrown his way, but they did not seem to be on the same page at all. Rough year for Darrell Walker. Couple other guys here. Jalen Tolliver, Malik Henry, Drew Wolotarski getting in for a couple points. And Justin McInnes making his first start, I believe, of the year for Saskatchewan, putting up 3.7. Then to round it out, we've got Tavon Smith, Braden Lenius, and Quan Bray. Kind of disappointing performances there. Lenius has been one of the more consistent players all season long. And Smith and Bray had higher price points that made it disappointing. Same thing with Darvin Adams. I mean, 2 points out of him at over a $6,000 salary. He just ain't going to cut it. Shai Ross, I had higher hopes for this week after a big performance last game for Edmonton, but just 2 points for him. Edmonton as a whole offensively struggled quite a bit in that matchup with the Bombers. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, if you took a defense this week, chances are you had a fantastic week. A lot of people go with the no defense strategy to save money elsewhere. And if you did that this week, I'm sorry to say, you got burned a little bit, because if you were one of those people that put Toronto or Ottawa's defense in, you got fantastic value. 33 points from the Argos. They had 3 defensive touchdowns in that Wednesday game against Ottawa. What a day for, especially with the $3,200 salary. Same thing, Ottawa's defense. I mentioned a stat, I think, a couple weeks ago, that against Edmonton, they had put up 29 fantasy points in 2 games, but against the rest of the league, it was 3 points in 5. Well, they've hit double digits now in 3 straight games. They had a 10 and a 13 in 2 games this week. Big day for Ottawa. They're turning it around on defense, and maybe it's because the offense is getting things going a little more efficiently as well. The Bombers continuing to amaze. 20 points from them each and every week. They seem to deliver. The Riders defense putting up 9 points. Montreal hitting exact value at 8. Hamilton with 5. Calgary with 3. And Edmonton putting up just 1 point on defense. Here's my roster for week number 10. My best week of the season, 151.4 points. I believe put me in the top 100 point totals on the week. Pretty happy with how this week turned out for me. I ended up going with Caleb Evans at quarterback, DJ Foster running back, both of those plays. Especially DJ Foster with that 25-point performance in the first game. I felt like this was going to be a pretty good week. Add Jamal Morrow as a cheap running back option. Chandler Worthy really came on strong in that second game. Put up 27.4. Curly Gittins Jr., same thing, 19.4. Kenny Stafford only played the 1 game and had 10.5. And then that Argos defense was the major benefactor of that, and that massive 33-point week from them. So, fantastic week. Really pumped with this week. In hindsight, I realize now that Jamal Morrow is $2,500. Cameron Artis-Payne was also $2,500. And I believe if I put him in my lineup and made the switch, I would have had the top score in CFL Fantasy for the week, or at least close to it, only a couple of points off. So missed opportunities there amidst all the Thanksgiving busyness, but still a fantastic week. I'm happy with how this week turned out. How did your fantasy week do? Let me know in the comments section. I hope it was a good one. Again, a fun week with 2 games from Ottawa and Toronto. But looking forward to it being going back to normal for week number 11. As I mentioned off the top of the show, I will have your positional previews out Thursday. depth chart updates on Friday and Saturday to get you all set for week number 11. Do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you liked, what you didn't. If you have any fantasy questions, put them in the comment section or tweet them at me at CooperTrooper42. Link to it's in the description. And if you want to play CFL Fantasy alongside myself and other viewers, check the video description. There's a link to the Canadian Football Fantasy Fix group over on the official CFL Fantasy site. You can play alongside myself and other viewers this week and every week throughout the 2021 CFL season. As always, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.